Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Shuri, issue number 4. Warning, I didn't like this comic book. In fact, there's like one thing I liked in the entire comic book besides the logo. I really do like the logo. And let me just give credit where credit's due to that logo. Adam Del Rey. Everybody else involved in this comic book, we got writer Nnedi Okorafor, artist Leonardo Romero, color artist Jordi Belair, letterer VC's Joe Sabino, color artist Sam Spratt. This issue is called Timbuktu. Yeah, I'm not even going to waste time doing, the images on here. I'm just going to show you straight out of the book. They're doing music. I don't know what kind of music. I imagine African music. If they're in Timbuktu, if they're around that whole Mali area, what do you call it? Boom. Like, this is what we got. And it's oh, I love this band. Oh, this music is sweet. I love this band. What do you love about the band? There's a couple of musical notes being thrown in there, and they're literally like, there's nothing interesting. There's no words. There's no idea of how a drum beat goes. There's nothing. I mean, I'm sorry. I've seen comic book. You know, the first time I ever read a comic book that had musical, there was supposed to be some kind of a performance in it. It was one of the Transformers comic books by Marvel. I can't remember which one it was, issue 13 or 14, something like that. Where maybe it was 17, whatever, where I think it was 14. Anyway, it had Bruce Springsteen in it. I think they actually said his name was Bruce Springsteen, even if they didn't. It was pretty obvious, especially to a Jersey boy, that was frickin' Bruce Springsteen. And Jesus, it was 1984 that came out, so how old was I, 9? And I still knew that was Bruce frickin' Springsteen. I mean, come on, baby, light my fire, you know what I'm saying? And that, way back then in 1984, I felt that they were actually playing music in that book because it was done well. I mean, people have been doing music in comic books for a very long time. Just this week, I think I can't remember what it was, but there's something out. If it wasn't this week, it was last week. I guarantee you it was last week. But like, it's done. You got the little, I think it was something by Mr. Brian Edward Hill. Damn it. It was probably Killmonger issue number 3. But anyway, like, you know, you'll have something in there, and there was nothing in here. So what does he like about the music? And even more than that, like, it's not just the writer on this. I'm sorry, let's just seriously delve into this, man. I'm sorry. What is that expression on his face? What's the expression on everybody's face? Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's doing anything in this. This is an emotionless book, both in the writing and in the art. I mean, here's his face when he's like, you know, all they did was like reverse the smile. So like, just look at it. Look. There's that one. There's that one. There's that one. There's that one. There's not really that much of a difference, a change in the art. And I'm sorry, I know I'm coming off as an absolute jerk, but I mean, I am coming off as a jerk. And I apologize for that. You know, I don't want anybody to like lose their jobs or anything, but like, this is terrible. Like, there's no heart in this. There's no emotion. There's no desire to actually make anything work in here. I mean, what is this? What is wrong with her face? What is she saying? Don't worry. I'm going to, and you're gone. Wow, that was abrupt. Okay, Shuri, some weird rumors are coming through. My local African news feed could be nothing, but I'm checking. My local African news feed? My local African news feed? It's probably about some guy who's been turned into a yam or some other nonsense. Keep me posted, I guess. Maybe that's a story out of Africa, maybe? Oh, God. Maybe, maybe not. I feel like there's no positive representation here. Guys, you remember when I just reviewed this? It's actually the same day. I just reviewed this, though, War is Hell, issue number 1, and I said I'm going to show this to my wife because there's some Somali story in there about, what was it, Genie Dagal? And I said that I've never heard of the myth of Genie Dagal before. And yeah, guess what? This guy who made the book, who isn't even African, apparently, he's definitely not Somali. Anyway, whatever it is, this guy, he made up the story. He acts like this is a part of Somali culture. It's not Somali culture. It's not. It's just a word that you use. There is no Genie Dagal, like character or a kind of Jinn or anything like that. And just the idea that I even said myself, I was like, the fact that it says Genie Dagal, the genie part, this is Arabian. This is like, maybe it's pre-Islamic times because the Jinn existed before Muhammad came along. But you know, no, like this doesn't even sound Somali at all. And plus, it's kind of disrespectful when you think about it, because then people can start thinking, oh, well, that's the reason why the Somalis are so violent. They blame it on this kind of Jinn. Somalis are not violent. I don't want to hear about freaking piracy. That's like a subculture thing. And Shabab, like, it's like you get violent people freaking all over the freaking world, including the countries that you reside in. I promise you, I bet you I could tell you about them. But like it just seems like it, like, and you made up the story. It's pathetic. It's miserable. And then in this, they're in Mali. They're in the Mali area. I'm sorry. Was there a mention of Mansa Musa in here? Because what a great time to talk about that. What a great opportunity. I feel like holy shit, she just did it in this one too, now that I think about it. I feel like Nnedi Okorafor only ever talks about food. The thing that I complained about in the Uncanny X-Men book, World of Wakanda, Wakanda Forever, whatever it was, Wakanda Forever, that's what it was. I'm trying to remember the name of the girl who did the World of Wakanda books, because those were actually good. Issues 1 through 6. Gay? Her name is Gay. Marcy Gay? I can't remember her name. Anyway, the World of the Wakanda Forever Part 2, the X-Men one. Nnedi has Storm sitting there naming off a bunch of different African fruits, and it's like, this is what I'm reading in my comic books? This is what I'm reading in my comic books? This is how you're going to do it? She's reading off a damn shopping list inside of an ethnic store? And now here, she's like, oh, maybe she got turned into a yam. Am I twitching? I feel like I'm twitching. What am I reading? So then in here, suddenly freaking Okoye, excuse me, suddenly Okoye is an absolute B. She walks in and she's like, what are you people doing here? Well, T'Challa set up this big meeting thing, like we're a bunch of people who we talk about and we bring Africa together instead of it just being Wakanda. And Okoye, oh my God, why can't I'm so bothered by this, I can't even say her name. I don't care if you're looking at the movie version or the comic book version, she never acted like this. She's a straight up B in this. And that's unacceptable, because that's not who she's ever been portrayed as. And I don't like her being portrayed that way here. She's talking to other Africans, talking about, well, what can you people do for Wakanda, what can you people do for Wakanda? That's what you believe? What can you do for me? Let me tell you something. And this is why it bothers me. My pure Sicilian grandfather on my mother's side told me the most intelligent bit of wisdom that I've ever had passed down to me. All right? And yes, I'm biased. He says, people don't care what you did for them yesterday. They want to know what you're going to do for them today. That analogy, that wisdom came to me to understand that people are scum. People are scum. Now, he obviously didn't mean that as everybody, but anybody who thinks that way, what are you going to do for me today? I don't care what you did for me yesterday. Oh, you loaned me the keys to your car. And that's happened before, with me. Loan them, give them my car keys, let her go and pick up her son someplace. Like, I just met this girl. She's been working in my job for 2 weeks now, maybe 3. I think it was 2 weeks. Oh, she needs to go pick up her son. Okay, well, here you go. And then, she brings it back, doesn't put any gas in it. And like, you're just a total B to me afterwards. I'm sorry. Did I not put a cushion on my seat for you to use? Changed up my radio stations too. Like, just, some people can be straight a-holes. Like, someone does something for you, you say thank you. You say thank you. It's not about, did you do something, did you only do this to get a thank you? F you. Maybe I did. Say thank you. Because I did a hell of a lot more for you than you doing the thank you thing. And here, she literally walks in, oh, T'Challa has done all this stuff before and blah, 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 blah. She literally needed Ramonda to explain to her, listen, relax, because blah, 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 blah. Like, I call this meeting. My son set all this stuff up. It's good. It's legit. please put your freaking vibranium spear that can kill us all down, because I would appreciate that. I don't like the way that anybody's portrayed in this. And meanwhile, these people who are in here, like these people in this meeting, are still trying to be nice to her. They're trying to talk nice to her. You know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the freaking police. Okoye is the police in this. She's the horribly, terribly racist police who comes walking in and like she right away pulls out her gun. And she's like, you know, what are you doing? Blah, 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 and all this stuff, barking orders and things like that. And the other person who's got the gun, the citizen who you're supposed to protect and serve, according to everything that's painted on your car, is supposed to sit there and try and de-escalate a situation because a damn cop doesn't know how to de-escalate a situation. That's Okoye. That's not the Okoye I ever want to see in my comic books. Dude, I'm going to tell you something. I usually don't reshoot my footage. I usually don't because I want you guys to see my initial review. This is my second time doing the review. The first time I was actually angrier. And I didn't even bring up this situation. The more I look at this comic book, the more upset I'm getting at this. And yeah, it's just a comic book, but there's such, oh my God. Rumble, rumble, rumble. There's a damn monster up here, and this guy's just sitting here. Let's pray with it. Like that's what it looks like. If you don't read what he's saying, that's what his body language is saying. There is nothing in this comic book. There was one thing that I liked. There was one thing, and this wasn't it. Like, what the hell is this? There's one thing I liked about this. At the end, she calls Tony Stark, and Tony Stark has a Captain America mug, or it's a Target mug. But like. That's the most I could pull out of this. I thought it was ironic that he's got a mug, but he's saying, oh, will you join me? And, you know, let's save Wakanda together. I got nothing. I explained a lot more in my other review, but I deleted it because I was angry like I am now. Probably a little bit more so, if you could imagine. Black Panther. I know there's a lot of people saying, oh, it doesn't deserve to be graded, you know, best picture and blah, blah, blah. It wasn't that good. Actually, yes, it was. Yes, it was. And if you disagree, that's on you. That's all you, bud. But unfortunately, the rest of the world, and I'm going to talk about the rest of the country, the rest of the world disagrees with you. You name the place in the world besides the United States, and it outsold anything else that Marvel has ever done, ever. Let me take you a step further. Even within the United States, people are going to say, what do you call it? Most comic book movies, there's one person out of the two people who go to see the movie who actually want to see the movie, and that's the comic book fan. It's the significant other who's brought along also, sometimes kicking and screaming, come and share it, you know, sit next to me, here's some popcorn and some soda, whatever the hell, watch this movie with me. And the other person, maybe they like it, maybe they don't. But there's one person who wants to see the movie and the other person who's just along for the ride because, well, my significant other wants to see the movie and I love him, her, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Black Panther is that one comic book movie, not Marvel movie, not superhero, no, that one comic book movie, period. Out of all the comic book movies that have ever been made, the one time that a comic book movie had two people in the relationship, out of the two, who want to go and see this movie. Nobody had to be kicked and dragged and screaming to see this movie. Nobody. And that's evident by the fact that people went back again and again and again to see it. And people can sit here and argue, oh, well, you know, it's a black movie. And I heard this conversation in my comic book store, and I had to walk away before I, well, basically just put a hell of an explaining on this person and call them a dumbass. And if you fit in that category too, if the shoe fits, bud, there's been a lot of black movies made. Didn't Ava DuVernay just recently put out Ava DuVernay, who turned down making Black Panther, and I'm glad she did, with all due respect, because Ryan Coogler made a freaking fantastic movie. Ava DuVernay just got finished making A Wrinkle in Time, and she had, I think Oprah Winfrey was in that too. I don't want to like speak out of turn, but like there was a pretty big fan base in that also, and I heard a lot of people talking about, I want to go see this movie. Oh my God, we're gonna get two awesome black movies. Wrinkle in Time didn't do nearly as well as Black Panther. Because at the end of the day, I know you want to sit here and say, oh, they just went back to see it again and again and again because it's the black movie. No, you see it once because it's the black movie. You only see it a second time if you really liked it. Because we're talking about people's money here. I'm sorry, not a lot of people have that much money to be spending on these movies. All right? And they didn't just go on cheap day. They went over and over again. Bringing other people to see it too. Now, girl, you gotta see this movie. It's not just because how good looking the men look. And, you know, dudes, it's not just because how... Of course it's not the guy saying that. We can look at porn and get a whole lot more than, you know, some of, you know, Lupita Nyong'o looks good, all right? But I can do, there are channels I can look at and get a whole lot more out of it. So no, it wasn't anything like that. It was generally people loving the movie, loving the representation, loving everything, the history, the costumes, all of it, genuine, authentic. Name me one other comic book movie that does anything even remotely close to that. You can't. That's the love that was put into this movie. And this is what we're given to capitalize off of that? Epic fail. Epic fail. This comic book is utterly disappointing in every way, shape, and form. I saw that Nnedi Okorafor was on this, and if this gets back to her, I'm going to feel so bad. And I'm sorry. I love your work, but I don't love this. I just don't think that Nnedi Okorafor has an understanding, a comic book understanding, or a movie understanding, or just a general consensus understanding of what Shuri is. It doesn't help that I don't feel like the people involved in this comic book, you know, like the artists and whatnot, really care about it either. It doesn't help. It doesn't help at all. But for the love of God, right now, Marvel Comics is writer-driven. This is evident. There's some things that they don't have a choice in. I get that. I'm trying to pay attention to all the nuances that I can and be as fair as I possibly can. But for crying out loud, this is writer-driven. And I don't want to sit here and assign blame. Like, what kind of a jackass would I be if I did? At the same time, I can't also just sit here and go, well, I don't know why it's no good. Some things are pretty damn obvious. So I just don't feel that she's got an understanding of this character or the world of Wakanda properly. I just don't. I don't. I'm sorry. I don't care who is written. I don't care the color of their skin, the ethnicity. I've seen, granted, the King Solomon's Frogs by Jack Kirby thing sucked. That sucked. But a lot of times his writing hasn't exactly been top notch. It's going to be people who hate me for that. Deal with it. But like Jack Kirby's one of the creators of Black Panther, and Stan Lee, the other big one, and his reasons for creating Black Panther were beyond perfect. The follow through, the people who have jumped on this, who have contributed to Black Panther stories, pretty much all of them have done a better job than this. And that's not like barely, that's not just, oh, well, you know, they've done a little bit. No, leagues ahead. This is sad. This is so sad. There is nothing here. There is no reason to continue reading this comic book. I don't want anybody to lose their jobs. I'm very much pro-union, pro-solidarity. That means fighting for everyone's rights, because that's what superheroes do, cape or no cape. So I don't want to see anybody lose their jobs. But I'm making a prediction. Unless Marvel decides to make a statement by keeping this comic book going, I don't see this comic book going past issue number 8. I just don't. And I'm only saying 8 instead of 6, like most comic books end on, because for the love of God, man, there's just, like, there's nothing here. There's nothing here. But they should be trying to make some kind of bank off of that movie. But I'm done with this series. I'm done. There's no amount of convincing that's going to get me to come back to this for issue 5. Maybe if I find out that issue 8 was something amazing and it's not canceled, I am completely wrong. And people like, Professor, you don't understand. Oh my God, it got so good. all right, I could be convinced to come back and just try and take a clear vision of this. But I am so disappointed in this right now. I don't get it. I don't get what's happening right now. Maybe the movie was just so damn good that I'm upset at what Ta-Nehisi was doing and what Nnedi Okorafor was doing. But I'm not feeling this in any way, shape, or form. I just don't feel like this is true to either version of her character, movie or printed. And I don't feel like this appeals to me even as something different. Brian Edward Hill is writing Killmonger. That's a very different version of Killmonger than the movie or the comic book. And yet I still love it because it feels like a real human being. This doesn't feel like anything. This feels like someone trying to make a comic book. Not somebody trying to make a great story, not somebody trying to make a compelling story or teach history or anything. This feels like someone who's just trying to make a good comic book. And it's just not working. I hate the idea that these reviews go so long for Shuri and all that stuff. But this is just such an amazing character. And this ain't that. This is not that. It's like, honestly, it's hurtful. It's hurtful. It's painful. You know what I'm saying? When I'm standing in line for 20 minutes waiting for, why can I never remember his freaking name? Are you freaking kidding me? I'm forgetting his name right now. Anyway, he did the first cover of Shuri, the first cover images of Shuri. I know his name, and I see him every couple of months, and I feel like such a jerk. And if you're watching this, I'm sorry. You know I love you. But what do you call it? Stood in line for 20 minutes on a slow day because my wife wanted the an image of that cover. I should probably go get that right now, but she's sleeping. Nah, man. This is sad. This is whatever. Whatever. I feel deflated reading this. I'm done with this comic book series right now. Go find your reviews for the series someplace else. And if you could say something in the comments, I'll read it. I will read it with an open mind because that's what I do. But if you ever actually see me in real life and you want to talk about this and tell me why you love it, why I'm so wrong, I would love to sit down to drop pretty much unless I'm carrying one of my kids to the emergency room, I will drop pretty much whatever I'm doing to sit down and talk with you. Because I would love to know what the heck is up with this. Like, I just don't see any appeal in this to anyone. I can't fathom the idea of it. And I'm done. So, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.